YouTube, what is good? It is your boy Karl here. How are we? Wasn't going to do a talking video this weekend. I was going to do a photo slideshow. Yesterday I was in Loughborough at a rugby game. I'll explain more in a minute. And today I was due to be at a women's championship game in Coventry, originally postponed a few weeks back because of snow, Coventry v Charlton. And for one reason or another, it didn't happen when I arrived at the ground today. I'm not going to go into the reasons because there'll probably be all sorts of stuff going on around it, but suffice to say I didn't shoot it today. I had a journey in vain. Now back home. For those of you that know me well enough, I have mental health issues, and obviously I psyched myself up to shooting a game today, and when that's the case and it doesn't happen, whether it be weather postponement, we've got COVID postponements in the modern age nowadays, and whatever the reason was behind today, it's although in the grand scheme of things like life, death, COVID, all that stuff, it doesn't really matter. It's not important. In my headspace, my personal well-being, it can put me in a bit of a slump, so I decided I wanted to come home and do something creative. So that's why you have the pleasure of my company. So, where to begin? So I did a rugby game yesterday, Allianz Premier 15s between Loughborough Lightning and Worcester Warriors, women's rugby. First time I've ever shot a rugby game. I will be honest, I'm not a huge rugby fan. Probably know enough about the game to get by, but like in terms of rules, but certainly don't know players or who's good, who's bad. Nothing about photo in it. So and I didn't really get any advice off colleagues in the sports photography world, so I kind of went in blind, which could either be seen as naivety, or I saw it as a good thing, because with some sports, you know, you'll get advice and it'll be in your head like, this is where I need to position myself, this is the settings I need to use, this is what I need to do, because that's what my peers have told me, what my mentors have told me. But I didn't have that with yesterday, so I kind of worked it out myself on the job, and I wasn't steered by the opinions of others, which was really good actually. I'll attach the photos on the end of this video, and you'll see there's a mix of action stuff, and there's also some stuff that, unless you're viewing it with a business head on in terms of commercial shots, you might just think are boring. But the thing is, with the agency, let me stress, I don't earn any money with the agency. I haven't earned a penny yet. They don't pay me direct. It's commission on sales, and they're by no way guaranteed, certainly not while you're learning the ropes like I am. But if you're going to, you've got to not only think of, you know, your action shots on the pitch, getting the moments, the goals, the tries, the whatevers, the wicket and cricket, you know, emotions, all that stuff. You've got to also have a bit of a business head on you, so you've got to look at, you'll have seen before, I take photos of corner flags with like clubs logos on, or the Women's Super League logo on, because they're like logos and brands that will buy up those photos, those generic stock type photos. So yesterday, the rugby goalposts had the Allianz logo on, as did the corner flag, and obviously you've got the rugby balls, which are by a brand as well. So it's trying to get a few of those sort of shots, like generic stock shots that are going to sell for months or years afterwards, and we're going to please the companies that are sponsoring stuff. That you've got to try and get sometimes. You've got to have them in your collection from the day, really, if you aspire to be successful. You know, you've got to think of it with a business head on in terms of what's going to sell, as well as following the action and getting the key moments in gameplay. So that's something I've learned so far through the agency, and that's something I'm very conscious of doing, and you'll probably see that reflected in my shots. Other than that, it was super bright yesterday. There wasn't many clouds, if any at all, in the blue sky, so it was an issue with my settings really. the wide angle lens wasn't too bad, because that has an aperture that it dictates itself, and it only goes down to, I think it's 3.5 f-stop. So in terms of the sunny conditions, that wasn't too bad to work within. And obviously when I was doing wide, it was, with the exception of one or two shots, I pulled it out because the action was coming right near me. So it was kind of, my zoom lens is an 80 to 200, so it was trying to get anything within 80 and 0mm, i.e. bang in front of me, do you know what I mean? So it was for that purpose, so there wasn't too much sort of sunlight and empty space, negative space, so it was a bit easier. Whereas with the 8200, it's a 2.8 f-stop, and obviously if you shoot at a 2.8, okay, it's tricky autofocus wise, because you're not giving it much subject, because you're having your foreground, what you're focusing on, sharp, and then the rest is going to be bokeh. So it can be hit and miss with the autofocus, but the quality you get at a 2.8 shot in terms of having your subject stand out in the frame is unbelievable. So I wanted to stay at 2.8, which means then I was juggling my shutter speed, not wanting to go too fast. I didn't really want to go above 2000, for the reason that whenever I shoot above 2000 and I do a burst mode, I find that sometimes you get closed eyes where the player's blinking or whatever, and that can impair a shot. So I don't tend to go above 2000. So then it was seeing how low my ISO could go, and I think it was ISO 100 on the D3. So yeah, it was a juggling act with my settings constantly, and it was one of those afternoons where it wasn't constantly bright. There was the odd cloud, so 1 minute it could be really light, and you got your settings right for that, and then the next minute you might get a shadow over it for 5 minutes, so then you've got to fiddle your settings around to get back to that, and then the sunlight will come out against you, you're back to that. It was a challenging afternoon. I certainly knew that I'd worked, because I was having to constantly adjust my settings, and that goes with shooting a new sport anyway. I don't really watch or understand rugby, so unlike with football and cricket, I don't know the lines of plays, the tempos of plays, how to anticipate plays, because I don't watch it. So I was out of my comfort zone, but that's a good thing. Moving forwards, if I want to be a pro sports photographer, you don't see the pros, their portfolios, they don't stick with one sport. They might have a sport they favour, and if they're offered different jobs, 9 times out of 10 there's a sport they'll take over others. But they will diversify, they will have that variety in their portfolio of different sports. So that's something I've got to do. So yeah, picking up a bit of rugby, learning a bit of rugby, then goes alongside being able to shoot football, being able to shoot cricket. I've done one motorsport day before, so it's just adding that variety, and yeah, I enjoyed it actually. I was quite happy with my shots, because it was the first time shooting rugby. I wasn't able to do any live match day, warm-ups before kick-off, half-time coverage, full-time coverage for the agency, because it was enough to get my head around shooting rugby for the first time yesterday. But I had an awareness around it while I was there yesterday, and I thought, okay, this gives me time to do this and do that. So next time I pick up a rugby game, which hopefully will be within the next few weeks, I'll have half an idea of how to do the normal during match day stuff that I do for the agency at football. In terms of the next game I'm shooting, I am at Solihull Moors again on Tuesday night, like I was last Tuesday for Dagenham and Redbridge at home this time. What can I tell you about Tuesday night? You'll obviously have seen the photos, because I put them on a slideshow. Go and check out that video if you haven't already. It's a non-league ground, so the light's not fantastic, but I found that my issue wasn't really with the light and exposure. That was all right, given that the D3 can go quite high on ISO performance. The issue was the white balance there. Every shot was coming out a kind of yellow colour, but I was able to fix that in post with that little bit of extra time. So yeah, that wasn't too bad. It just made it tricky for sending stuff live during the game, but I got around it. I still got some stuff off, and then did the full batch when I got home. So yeah, another game up there Tuesday night, which is probably one of the most local games I do. It's also the same place where Birmingham City women play. Yeah, it's a nice ground. What else can I tell you at this moment? Okay, so I ordered a book at the end of last week that I've started reading. Wonderful book called Saturday 3 PM 50 Eternal Delights of Modern Football by Daniel Gray. Highly recommend it. And there is a follow-on book called Extra Time. It's basically full of memories of football yesteryear and extraordinary delights of a match day as a fan and things like that. Fantastic read so far. I've read, I think it's the first 10, and it's written like poetry with a proper love of the fan experience of the game, and it's got my creative muses going. I'm thinking I want to produce something similar with my experiences of football, because there are some magical moments and memories around the game that I've been fortunate enough to share with my father and others, going down Birmingham City, down the Blues. And I've discovered a publishing house that specialise in sports photography books. They love doing like coffee table style sports photography books. So my thinking is I'll start piecing this together, certainly in text at the moment. We're not quite there with the photos. I do love putting a photo book together, and those of you that have seen Observations on Life and Sinspiration, which will be out later this year, I love to have like a bit of text at the front, a couple of chapters of text, and then go into the photos, or maybe like wedge text in between photos. Sorry, tiring weekend, but yeah, stuff like that. So I've got an idea in my head. I think I'm going to title the book something along the lines of The Beautiful Game, and there's some shots I've got already that I think could look lovely in it. Not necessarily action shots. The majority of them probably won't be. There'll be things going on around the action with like spectators and stuff like that. And yeah, I've got some shots already, but nowhere near enough. But you know, I'll be in and around Redditch United again next year, and possibly Solihull more, especially when the fans come back for next season, all being well. As long as there's no more hitches in this roadmap out of lockdown. So I want to spend a year or two collecting some unique shots that show the character of our English game, our beautiful English game, you know. Bovril and a pie at half time, you know, unique fans, unique grounds, all that sort of stuff. That's on my agenda. So it's early in the thought process at the moment, but it's something I'd love to do. A collection of characterful photos of the game that portray our British love of the game of football, the working class love of the game of football, along with some of my memoirs of going to football with my dad, sort of coming of age down to football. So yeah, that's my provisional thoughts on that. Also this week, very excited, got a new lens coming. So on its way from Tokyo. Last I read it was in Indianapolis yesterday. Got off the plane there. I've ordered myself a Sigma 175-500. I got recommended by everyone, get a 400 prime or a 500 prime. Look, I have got little to no resource yet. I can't afford that at this moment in time. But they've all said to me, get that, because you're not going to get on with a Sigma on a cold night in a non-league ground, because it'll only go as low as, say, a 4 f-stop. Fine, I accept that, but I've bought this Sigma lens because the cricket season's round the corner and I need to be able to get in close to the batters and the bowlers in the wicket, in the crease in the wicket, and 500mm will take me there. And obviously they don't play cricket in bad light, so 4 f-stop or whatever it is won't matter, it'll cover it, it'll do the job. So I'm shopping in order of events. So we've got the Sigma for the cricket season. Then the next lens that I will have to save up for, and it'll take a hell of a lot of saving given my current finances, is going to be a 4 or a 500 prime in time for when the clocks go back in autumn for the winter months, so that other than my 200 lens, which probably covers the half that I'm at the end of, I can pick up a lens that's going to get me into the other half where needed and provide that extra bit of quality as well. So that's next on my shopping list. Budget wise, it might even have to be a 300 prime, but we will see. That is about all for today. Enjoy the photos on the end of this video, and I will probably speak to you at the end of the week when the new lens comes in from Indianapolis or wherever it is at the moment, glow popping. Till then, stay safe, protect others, adios. Please like the videos, subscribe to the channel, share the love, check out the Ko-fi page, check out the website, check out the social links, you know the drill. See you later.